Hello, listeners. My name is Sophia.
And my name is El.
And welcome back to Rhyme and Reason. In today's topic, we will be having a personal Q&A so you listeners can get to know us better, because obviously you can't visually see us through the screen, but we hope that through this episode you'll get to know more about us and our stories. We'll be asking each other personal questions. So before we get started, make sure you are wearing your headphones for maximum audio experience. Actually, we've gotten feedback from the listeners regarding our audio, and we are doing our best to resolve the problem. So thank you for your very helpful feedbacks. And now into the episode. So I will be the first one to ask Elle questions. The first question that came to mind, because we've talked briefly about your career in culinary, in cooking.
Yeah.
And I feel like it has taken a huge part of your life, especially now. And the first question that I want to ask you is, since you've experienced working, what is the greatest lesson you've learned, or any advice you can give to other listeners who are either in college or are working students? What's the greatest lesson you've learned with your experience working?
Well,
can you give a brief background of where you worked and the different tasks you had to do?
I worked at a restaurant in a mall. So it's a Kapampangan restaurant. And the main advice I would give is to learn how to work together and adapt to your environment, because you would often get shifts that are not constant. For me, I started working for 12 hours a day with a 2-hour break. And that was just on my trainee days. And then when I officially got the job, I started working for 16 hours a day with sometimes 3 or 4-hour breaks. I would say you would need to have a lot of vitamins. Like, take your daily vitamins, your
vitamins,
especially vitamin C. Yeah, because you work in the kitchen, it's very hot and everything is fast-paced. You need to be able to endure the temperature inside the kitchen. But it's completely different story if you work outside. When you're let's say you're a waiter or a waitress, you would still need to learn how to cooperate with your team and the customers. But the main advice I could give you for that is the customer is never always right. So many people have told me that.
Something new.
Because my friends who are waitresses have told me that customers have this mindset that they're always right. But if you learn how to convince the customer that something is not what they say it is, we have a rule where if the customer does not listen properly, we just give them what we think should be given. Like, we had this one customer who was very demanding. Yeah, I forgot what was pinakbet in Kapampangan, but we had a dish that's pinakbet, which is a stewed vegetables, and he told us that he had this allergy, and
it triggered his allergies. Yeah,
it triggered his allergies because of the food. He said he was certain that the food had shrimp or shrimp paste, bagoong. And we were aware of the customer's allergies because he told us before he ordered, but after he finished the entire meal, he then complained that his allergies triggered. So those are the type of customers that usually piss off the entire restaurant. So as long as you know what you give to the customers, you should keep in mind that the customers aren't always right. And it's always good to come in early when it comes to kitchen work, because there's a tendency where your fellow employees will not be able to make it in time, or they will come in late because due to, usually it's always hangover or just plain old late. Those are actually the kinds of people that I hate, when they're always late and they don't show up for work. So yeah, I guess the main advice really is to just learn to adapt and make sure you know what's right. And yeah,
that's good. I love learning from your experience, because I have yet to experience working, and let alone in a very busy and demanding workplace. You gave very specific advice regarding vitamin C, so I will keep that in mind.
Yeah, vitamin C is very important.
I guess that leads me to my second question, because I kind of want to know where your inspiration comes from when it comes to cooking, especially since you started at a very young age. So what pushed you to pursue a career in cooking, or who inspired you? Because to share my own experience, the summer of 2014, I believe, I remember I was just in my room like almost the whole summer, and I was watching YouTube videos of this series called Cupcake Wars, and then I watched so many episodes that I collected all my savings and bought a mini oven, and then ingredients, and then different baking supplies, just so I could bake cupcakes. And yes, I really wanted to try it, because I've seen so many great bakers on the show, and it inspired me. So I guess what I want to know is like, what inspired you to start cooking in the first place? Like, was it your family, your parents?
It's a bit unclear when I started, but I'm sure that it's a very young age, because I forgot if it was my dad or my lola who taught me how to cook. Because they both taught me how to cook spaghetti, and they both had different styles on how to cook it. From there, I started cooking spaghetti usually we cook it for lunch. Mom and dad are always, busy. They're working parents. So when we're at home, it always ends up as no one likes to cook. But since I knew how to cook, I took the initiative and cooked lunch. Usually lunch, because dad's not at home, and then mom's at home, but she's busy. She's working. I took the responsibility of making lunch and sometimes dinner when I was younger, maybe around 13, I think. I don't remember. Maybe around 13, like that. And then it just started to become a habit, and I started to watch
experiment on cooking.
Yes, I experimented stuff. And I watched YouTube videos on how to cook different foods. Like mostly, I watched Panlasang Pinoy. If you know that YouTube channel.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I watched Panlasang Pinoy for recipes. What I liked about that is they were so basic that anybody could follow them, even kids. They were at the same age as me.
You could literally learn so much from YouTube, and it's free.
You know,
like
right?
You can access it anytime. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
And so, from that habit of cooking every day, I saw this audition. Are you familiar with the Junior Master Chef?
Yes. Okay. Please tell the story. I really want to know. Okay.
Okay, so I auditioned for that, and I made a twice cooked pork tenderloin, I believe.
Wow.
I made like I used that as a way to audition, and we
Mm-hmm.
auditioned in the Pinoy Big Brother house at ABS-CBN.
No.
So there were so many cameras, there were a lot of lightings, there were a lot of contestants, and yeah, there were so many people. And we cooked there on the spot. We sent our food to the judges, and then we waited for hours for the results. And
No. Wait. I'm curious to know. Do you memorize the recipe, or like what happens?
usually you should memorize it because you're not allowed to have a recipe book or notes
Okay.
when officially when you cook. And of course, it looks better if you just memorize it, right? Rather than you're following a handbook.
Yeah.
Then,
Okay.
yeah, we auditioned, and then I got in. We started at when I got in, we were offered basic training, like knife skills. We were taught the kinds of foods, vegetables, meats, all of that, even the sauces. We had these small contests in the Pinoy Big Brother house where we would cook for the people there, and then they would rate our food. We mostly made breakfast, which were our take on pancakes, and sometimes we had a choice to make it either sweet or savory, things like that. And then we went to Treston College to get further training. So there in Treston College, we also had lectures. So there were so many lectures. There were a lot of lab work, but at the end of the day, we got really good training from it.
Wait, was this training before the show launched?
Yes, it was before.
Oh, okay. So the preparation was months before filming.
Yes.
Okay.
So after that training period, we had the first set of contestants were 60. So there were 60 of us total from different regions in the Philippines.
Wait, so they trained all 60 of you?
Yes. We were trained in batches, so
that's a lot.
We had 3 batches. So yeah, I made seafood curry, which I stuffed the seafood curry in a very big bell pepper, which I used as a bowl. The images from that, I think it's on a blog I have somewhere.
We can include that in the description of this episode, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, so you'll find that in the description, and then I think it would be better if I cut it there, so the viewers would be more inclined to check the website out, because there's so much detail there. And heads up, on the website, it's a lot. So
you really learn a lot.
And after that, after we had the contest, started taking culinary courses from Sophia, if you know her. I studied in Global Culinary Hospitality Arts. I studied for maybe 5 months. And then...
And how old were you here?
I was 17 when I started studying in Global Academy. And after I studied for 5 months, I had an OJT for Miss II, the one from ABS-CBN.
What?
Yeah. I OJT'd on her restaurant near ABS-CBN, and she would often come by and check on us. And there were also those actors from, what's it called? Provinciano, I think, who would come by and eat there. And sometimes they have pictures,
No way.
Yeah. So,
and you also mentioned before that you experienced catering for a TED Talk show here in the Philippines.
Well,
that's so cool.
It wasn't us who cooked, but we were just in charge of the food.
Okay. Still.
And so I did that, and then I had another competition, which was Philippine Culinary Cup. This was around 2017. Yeah, 2017, August-ish. we competed there and we trained for about 1.5 months. We made a adobong kambing, which was roasted, and then it had roasted pineapples, it had roasted garlic, and then we also had a side of dinakdakan na kambing. We also had sinangag sa ginataang santol.
Wow. I have not
we had
heard of any of those, but it sounds good.
We got second place, silver, second place.
Out of how many contestants?
There were 60 of us, I think, because we had different categories. So each category has a winner.
From the entire Philippines.
There were Filipinos. There were Chinese. There were people from Hong Kong and Singapore. Mostly.
Wow, that's such an achievement.
We got the second place on our category, which was Team Filipino Food category. There were 3 of us. It was me, my mentor, and a partner of mine. So and then after that, I took, I guess, part-time jobs on hotels. I went on OJT for a few restaurants in different cities here until I ended up landing the main job I worked at, which was the Kapampangan restaurant. And I worked there for 10 months, almost. That's about it until today.
Yeah. From your background alone, you have so many experiences under your belt, and I'm just so amazed because we're the same age. We're the same age, and it feels like you've already lived an entire lifetime. So, that being said, I'm sure you've learned so many things along the way. But let's talk about now. Like, what has been your greatest struggle as an adult? Like, what has been the biggest challenge for you?
Definitely finding a part-time job, because I'm trying my best to look for a job that's not that time-consuming and doesn't also require me to get out of the house, because Lola is here at home with us, so I can't really go out much and risk everybody getting
it's a big risk.
infected. So I've been trying to find jobs online to do that's online. So that's been the biggest struggle for me. And I'm planning to start a small business here at home, but there are so many factors at play that I can't really start it.
What kind of business?
Food. I'm planning to sell food. Yeah, but we don't have storage. We don't have the right equipment yet, and of course, it's difficult to get good stock of food.
Yeah, that's good. That's about all the questions.
Right, so it's my turn.
Sorry.
I have a few questions.
Yes. I'm nervous. Okay, go.
Don't be so. Okay. At first, let's start off. So it's something, I guess it's somewhat easy. What's your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Okay, now that's tough because I have so many failures, but at the same time, I can't really pick one. But I'd say the greatest kind of regret or failure that I have encountered is just putting myself out there and letting myself experience life. Because I feel like most of my childhood and teenage life, I've really been kept indoors, both physically and metaphorically, because because I don't really explore out of the box, and it's just now that I'm 20 that I can say that I've experienced so many things that I've learned from. Like, to mention a few, this is my first year in college, and then I'm also applying for PMA, and that's a whole nother story, explanation, and then I'm recording this podcast. I never in my life ever think that it would actually happen, but in my head it already happened, but I didn't actually think that it would happen. So yeah, the greatest failure is just not learning enough stuff and just investing my time on something worthwhile, because especially when you're a kid or a teenager, you don't really have that much responsibility, and school, I feel like, doesn't get too demanding. It gets a little bit more demanding around like senior high school and then college, but like my junior high school and grade school schedule was pretty, like, it didn't really take a lot of time. Like, school ended when you left school. Like, you barely bring schoolwork at home because there were almost none, and on all the schoolwork that you had to do, you could do in school in between subjects.
It's fun.
And so I could have used that time to master an instrument, or keep trying to improve my painting or drawing, or just learning other things outside of school. There's this saying that goes, jack of all trades, master of none. I feel like this is kind of brought by the school system, but also I guess we get stuck in just trying so many different things. I feel like this goes against what I just said about learning a lot of things, but we get kind of caught up and excited to like learn new things, and that's a good thing. But one negative thing that comes from that is we tend to get excited, and then once we lose that excitement, we kind of just drop it and forget about it, and we don't end up mastering anything. So like for me, I know a lot. I know, not to brag, but I know how to do a lot of things, but I can't proudly say that I'm good at them, like that I'm fluent in a language, or I'm master in like painting or anything like that. Like I can't confidently say that, but at the same time, to turn it upside down, it gives me allowance to kind of learn more and to fill that gap in my knowledge, because you know, we have to accept that you can't know everything, but you also need to take advantage of the resources that you have now and that are at your disposal. And yeah, that's probably my greatest failure, is not investing my time in worthwhile stuff.
Well, I think it also depends on your circumstances, because in my case, I was homeschooled, so I really had a lot of time in my hands. I didn't have much school until I think after I passed grade 2, Mom and Dad pulled me out of school, and they decided to just teach us themselves, because they were both teachers, so they knew how to teach kids. And there were different days where we would come home from school and we were given homework that the teacher did not teach us about, and it's almost always math. So we would get a set of problems that we were asked to bring home and figure out ourselves. So it just always results to Mom and Dad having to teach us. So they decided that since it's going to be like that, where they would end up teaching us when they come home instead of just letting us do our homework, it kind of made sense to just homeschool us instead of always bring home homework that they would just teach us anyway at home. So I think it just depends on the circumstances that we have. All right, so there's another question. What's something that people seem to misunderstand about you?
Oh, okay. I'd say it's either my looks or my sense of humor, because if you have met me for the first time and people have told me their first impressions of me and they said that they thought that I was very mataray. Well, I'm really not. I just don't know what to do with my face. But I'm also very, very silent, and I feel like that usually comes off as like standoffish and like snobby. But I promise you, in my mind, I'm raced. My mind is racing to.
Like you're nervous almost all the time.
Yeah. My mind is racing to think of something to say to the person to start a conversation. I'm just shy, and people usually say that I'm intimidating, which is quite the opposite of who I am. And then for my sense of humor, I have people who have said that I personally have observed that my sense of humor is not everyone else's sense of humor sometimes. Mm-hmm. So especially in chat where there are no like visual cues, it's hard to tell if I'm joking or not unless I put like a laughing emoji or a haha afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes off a little bit harsh at first, but I know I need to watch my my sense of humor sometimes. But yeah, I feel like those are the usual two things that they get wrong.
Well, it's the same here, honestly. I have a face that I often make when I'm out in public. It's like I don't look that serious, but when people, for example, in my work, when I first came in, mm-hmm. they told me I had this look that I gave them. It was kind of a side eye look, and they told me it looked as if I was ready to break something. But usually when I do that, it's I'm nervous. I usually give side looks when I'm nervous.
It's okay.
It's like I look around everything. Okay. It's so, especially when it's a new environment.
You
try to observe everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Why do people find us so mataray? And usually,
I honestly don't know. Maybe it's the serious face at first.
Or maybe it's our eyebrows. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. People have about my eyebrows.
Yeah,
my eyebrows are kind of intense.
Mm.
I had someone call me an angry bird because of my eyebrows.
Angry bird, that's amazing.
And then on the completely opposite side of the spectrum, someone said that I look like Audrey Hepburn. And I really don't understand where or how that happened. I don't know. Anyways.
All right. So this is a question that's I got this question actually from my friends. They asked me to ask you, what is your ideal man or woman to be a partner?
Oh, okay. Wait, I have my list. Well, there's a lot to consider, especially because not really a very young age, but around grade school, there was this guy who liked me, and I also had a crush on him. But what made me not pursue like a romantic relationship with him is because I knew that if I kind of allowed the romantic relationship to happen, like first of all I need to get it has to be God's best, and also I have to get my parents' approval. And then I feel like for me, if I end up liking someone, it will eventually lead to marriage. For me it shouldn't be like either way. Like I will date for marriage. Like the reasoning that I told my friend before was that if he were to become my boyfriend, that would mean he would become my husband. And so that thought kind of stopped me from going further with that relationship. So to answer the question, there are a lot of factors. Obviously, the first one would be God-fearing. I feel like if a man values God more than anyone else, then if he puts God first before his wife, then that would be one of the greatest qualities a person can have. Because once if you're God-fearing, all the other good godly characteristics you will most likely possess. If you don't possess them yet, it's because you're obviously still a work in progress. I have so many factors to consider, but to give a few factors, specific factors, I like a person who are firm in their convictions and is very passionate or very driven. I feel like if a person is set on a certain goal that they want to achieve, it's really also inspiring for you. And a person who doesn't rely too much on the relationship for validation. Obviously, like, relationships give you a sense of security in terms of like emotional security, but it's having a person who just relies on you for their happiness and satisfaction is such a big burden to be put on just one person. And that's just true. Impossible for one person to fill that. And being a person who is very family oriented, I can easily tell from my friends and from people that I haven't known for that long. I could tell if they're close with either their sister, their mom, or their grandparents. Like, I've met a couple of people before, and based on the way that they act around girls or around me, I could tell that they have like a good relationship with their female like family or relatives, because it's really different how they treat girls. And then that's like a lot. That's yeah.
All right. So to the friends who asked me to ask that, I hope you're listening. All right. Okay, so I have a question here that's just a hypothetical question. If you knew the world was ending, what would you eat as your last meal?
Oh my gosh. You see, this question, I would literally stay up at night just thinking about what I will answer. Okay, if it's sweet, I would say Milo with oatmeal. And it's not like a glass of Milo and a bowl of oatmeal. It's like you
mix
cook,
it?
I mean, and then you mix Milo with the oatmeal, and then you add the hot water. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's
so is it like a drink with takes me oatmeal, or is it the oatmeal that's
kind of like an in between? It's kind of like a Milo oatmeal soup.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I swear, even the smell just takes me back to like when I was younger. And then if it were savory, I'd say the first thing that popped in my mind is pork paksiw. I just love pork paksiw.
Is it the pork paksiw that's lechon kawali or the lechon mismo?
I don't know cooking terms.
No, it's like
the one with like it's kind of pinkish with like, wait, am I? Oh, sorry. What I meant was pork binagoongan.
Pork binagoongan.
Yeah, that one.
Do you like it like
that's
really spicy, or the one that's slightly sweet?
Kind of in the kind of in the middle. I also don't like very spicy food. You know, that's the kind of spicy food where you can't really taste anything but just feel the burning pain on your tongue.
Yeah.
I hate those types of spicy. I want the kind of spicy that's like cooling. Like you can feel the cooling, through your throat. Yeah. Very interesting question.
Well, for the listeners, if you would like to ask us questions, leave a comment down below on our YouTube page, and we'll go through them.
I think that's it for our question and answer episode. Don't you think? I think we did good.
Yes.
And we learned a lot about each other.
Yeah. When I thought I knew you, I actually don't.
There's still so much to learn about, and honestly, there are still so many stories that I want to share.
Yeah.
But maybe for another episode.
Hi, I'm Sophia. Thank you for listening to Rhyme and Reason podcast. If you like that episode, please hit that like and that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to let us know what you think about the episode, and follow us on Twitter by clicking the link on the description. See you next time.